The Empire looked away. We didn't. Part 1, The Forgotten Dawn. In a remote corner of the galaxy, far from the bustling centers of commerce and politics, lay a planet known as Anoria 3. It was a world of uneven terrain, thick forests, and desolate plains, dotted with the remnants of an advanced civilization long fallen into ruin. The human colony that had taken root here, the last vestige of bright dreams of expansion, struggled against the suffocating grasp of poverty, isolation, and the constant threat of starvation. Anoria 3, with its vibrant sunsets and moody storms, was now a flickering candle in the shadow of a brutal cosmos. The Galactic Empire, embroiled in its own internal wars and conflicts, had long since abandoned the nearly forgotten colony. The governmental machinery had turned indifferent, its attention drawn elsewhere, leaving the colonists to fend for themselves. But unbeknownst to them, their fate was intertwined with a greater struggle unfolding across the galaxy, one that would put their principles to the test. As humanity grappled with its own history of oppression, the more advanced species of the galaxy had found themselves subject to a new tyranny. The ruthless faction that had seized control of the alien council, known as the Purifiers, harbored a chilling agenda: to purify the cosmos of any species they considered inferior, enforcing their will with overwhelming technological superiority and a zealous drive. Rumors of their inhumane campaigns echoed through the reaches of space, rendering many craftsmen and scholars into desperate refugees, searching for a haven. When news reached Anoria 3 of the impending arrival of alien refugees fleeing the Purifiers, a weary candle flickered with a new urgency. The human settlers, once merely focused on survival, found their eyes turning toward altruism. The heart of the colony, led by a woman named Elara, ignited with the belief that they could offer sanctuary, Last Asylum, amid the storm of oppression. Elara's vision necessitated courage and ingenuity. Gathering a cadre of determined colonists, she outlined their daunting mission. They were to construct an underground refuge, capable of hiding a diverse array of alien species. It would not be easy, the settlers had little in the way of resources, and the watchful eye of the Purifiers bore down upon them. Yet, their shared history of survival in adversity infused them with hope. Part 2, The First Light. The following weeks involved relentless planning and preparation. The settlers scavenged metal scraps from the remains of machinery lost to Anoria's past, boulder-sized relics of a civilization they could scarcely comprehend. Trade, when feasible, garnered some precious supplies, rare seeds, and medicines from a dubious neighboring colony. They expanded their circle, recruiting able hands to construct crude yet sturdy walls below ground. But amidst the labor came danger. Intelligence about the Purifiers' patrol routes became crucial. Elara's team created coded messages and signals to remain as discreet as possible. Underground meetings held under the veil of night refrained from attracting the attention of Imperial satellites that occasionally passed overhead. Despite the comfort of distraction brought by constructing the refuge, tension lay thick in the air. Time was running out for the refugees who would soon cross Imperial lines. It was in this clandestine space where old and new worlds collided. The settlers were learning to communicate with alien species, each share of language and customs unveiling stories of struggle that mirrored their own. A frail, ancient leader from the Altar tribe, Elder Yeleth, was among the first they smuggled past the watchful eyes of the Purifiers. She was a diminutive figure with skin that shimmered like an opalescent shell, carrying the wisdom of innumerable summers yet to be extinguished. Yeleth recounted tales of her people's resilience, forging common ground with the humans who gathered in hushed fascination. Like you who have suffered under tides of oppression, she proclaimed one night, we understand the burden of survival. Together, we will not bow to darkness. Part 3, Whispers in the Night. As the weeks turned into months, the initial cohort of refugees increased in number. Young alien oracles, delicate yet potent, joined Elder Yeleth in the sanctuary of their shared haven, all of them born from various species, each with unique abilities and intricate histories overshadowed by fear and despair. Elara coordinated the movement of these diverse beings with precision, luxury introduced only by the sheer undeniable fact that each life mattered. One fateful dusk, the colonists received word that a group of oracles was making their way toward Anoria. These ethereal youths exhibited a rare gift. Their ability to precognize potential futures made them the jewels of their respective tribes. However, whispers of their impending arrival triggered an anxious shift among the settlers. The oracles possessed immense value, attracting the undivided attention of the purifiers. Elara gathered a small team, a wiry man named Rin with quick feet and sharper wit, and Mira, an engineer with a talent for creating makeshift devices. They ventured into the deepening shadows of the forest that separated the colony from the outskirts of the purification zone, hearts pounding with every step. The strained silence was compounded by the risk of detection, and they maneuvered with urgency, allowing the flora's thick cover to shroud them. As they approached a designated extraction point, the air became taut with anxiety. Just as Rin whispered a distraction plan, a low hum sneered through the stillness. In an instant, they froze. The unmistakable sound of an Imperial patrol ship sped above them, cutting through darkness like a knife through wool. The team held their breaths, their bodies pressing against the terrain while they anxiously exchanged glances that shouted urgency. From their hidden vantage, they could see the searchlights sweeping the forest, detecting movement with unnerving technology. Rin, in a fit of quick thinking, wrapped his arms around the vulnerable oracles and gestured for a retreat. "Run," he urged, motioning them toward an old mining shaft that his grandparent had once spoken of, a relic of optimized desperation. The oracles, carried by a wave of instinct and fear, rushed past him just as the ship's lights illuminated the area where Elara's team had stood moments before. They would soon feel the haunting roar of the ship above them, which fed into the bleakness that enveloped the sky. Part 4, Eclipsed by Darkness. The cave's entrance was narrow, forcing the group to contort and stretch as they squeezed through and breathed in stale air. Mira activated a small handheld light that pulsed dimly, and they moved deeper into the unknown. The shadows wrapped around them, a welcome shroud compared to the piercing scrutiny above. Yet within that darkness, fragile visions manifested. The oracles huddled close, their vulnerable yet keen nature resonated with the instinct of self-preservation. They began to share fragmented glimpses of futures, visions swirling like nebulae that might lead them to potential burdens of fate or slices of salvation, all intermingling history and foresight into the dwindling present. One oracle named Zeal spoke softly, his voice carrying a force that belied his size. "As darkness reigns, we hold to unity. In the heart of despair lies the seed of hope." As if emboldened by their fragmented togetherness, the group regrouped toward a deeper chamber. Mira and Rin joined hands with the oracles, an improvised circle that shattered the weight of loneliness built through countless journeys. The faint light from Mira's device illuminated the ancient carvings on the walls, telling tales of tribes unified through friendship, resilience, and hardship. The colony had become a microcosm, encapsulating greater struggles beyond Anoria 3. Just as the hum of the patrol ships drifted away, they realized the urgent need for a return to the surface. Time was finite. The urgency was reflected in each exchanged glance laced with determination. As they navigated their way back, however, they were met with disheartening news upon reaching the surface. The colony had sighted a troop of purifiers sweeping through, searching for them. "We need to get to the underground haven," Rin urged, but a new layer of concern blanketed the air. How many lives would they affect? Elara had groomed the underground base into a lifeline, but would it survive the impending storm of cruelty? Part 5, Tides of Destiny. As the colonists continued to harbor refugees, the tension escalated. The purifiers grew restless, sending increasingly more formidable patrols into the lands where the humans secretly aided those of alien lineage. Several close encounters transpired, with soldiers pacing suspiciously near the colony's perimeter, motivated by both fear and cruelty. One fateful day, a scout returned from one such mission with news that set in motion the chaos that lay ahead. A battalion of purifiers had been ordered to sweep the area, led by a vicious commander known as Elder, obsessed with curbing any resistance against the cleansing mission. With storm clouds gathering, the reality of what they faced became clear: save the oracles and Elder Yelleth, or risk annihilation at the hands of their foes. Ilara and her core team summoned every colonist. They gathered in the makeshift plaza of their colony, where only flickering embers from last night's warmth soared toward the stars. "We cannot simply hide," her voice rang, steady and unwavering, "for we have taken up the mantle of sanctuary. If we are to provide a home for those seeking peace, we must stand together." The crowd echoed her determination, a chord of defiance brewing among them. The time had come to fortify their sanctuary, to make a stand against oppression that resonates so deeply within their hearts. Men and women, old and young, rallied with newfound resolve. They thrived on a collective spirit, brainstorming strategies to camouflage their underground haven. Those who had once considered themselves powerless took up arms, old farming tools repurposed to become makeshift weapons, scavenge technology recharged to become proactive shields of light. Part 6, The Last Asylum. As twilight deepened, Ilara's colony transformed into an amalgam of hope and urgency. By the time Elder Khazar's battalion descended on the area, the Last Asylum had adopted the camouflage of foliage and darkness. The underground refuge bustled with alien life, each soul harbored now sensed the tremor of despair intensified. Yet what transpired beneath illuminated a journey birthed through desperation and resilience. As the purifiers swept overhead, guided by bloodlust and superiority, the tension hung in concert with the night. The colonists waited, stationed by hidden exits and vantage points, hearts drumming in sync with the sagas they had committed to protect. Ilara led a small strike team to intercept any soldiers entering the perimeter, while Mira activated crude devices that produced blinding flashes to disorient and mislead. The sheer volume of ambush arose as they merged into the frantic nature of survival, fending off attackers who tried to breach the sanctuary of collaborative beings. The clash turned hallucinatory. Within the commotion, the humans made it clear that their streets, our realms, were not meant for cruelty. Each life safeguarded against any impending shadow was a testament to shared values. Part 7, Unity and Redemption. As days stretched on into weeks, the purifiers remained vigilant, but the underground haven stood firm with each act of compassionate rebellion. Ilara continued her talks with Elder Yelleth, who guided the oracles through their resilience, challenging them to unearth hidden strengths. They became starlight woven into the fabric of a fierce hope that echoed above the fray, reminiscent of those original settlers who once braved the inhospitable expanse. Through desperate measures, the united front of humanity and alien survivors spun threads of bold aspirations crafted meticulously through collaboration. They forged improvised defenses, political strategies, and nurtured alliances, emboldened through a sense of burgeoning kinship. Word began to spread that the Last Asylum was more than an underground refuge. It became a beacon of resistance, a sanctuary and gathering point for those facing the dark tendrils of oppression. In coffee-stained parchments, future plans were described, filled with inklings of triumph, a movement growing across forgotten worlds. But shadows were never far, as the purifiers, determined to stifle any flicker of resistance, launched an all-out offensive. Ilara's ragtag defense rallied to the surface, locking arms with refugees sheltered within their sanctuary, a bond of unity that turned fear into empowerment. Together, humans and aliens forged a blockade against tyranny, fighting not just for survival but for the rebirth of hope that shone bright in their grasp. Part 8, The Dawn of a New Age. The final clash was brutal. The cacophony of desperation echoed across the landscape as memories of lost lives coalesced with visions born of empathy, forging a desperate path toward liberation. With strength born from shared stories and communal aspirations, the disparate beings standing shoulder to shoulder felt the collective heartbeat of a universe yearning for connection. The confrontation lay heavy, echoes of Valorian calling forth memories of strength shared through camaraderie. The colonists fought fiercely, side by side with oracles who envisioned brighter days, their fragile lives bolstered by a strength they never knew they possessed. The blend of ages, histories, and destinies melded into a single force, a constellation ignited against the backdrop of an oppressive regime. As the dust settled amidst a field of sacrifice, battered souls turned toward their horizon, gazing at a new dawn breaking through the chaotic uncertainty. The colony stood resilient, cradled in a shared legacy. The whispers of a luminescent dream surged forth, the spark of revolution now ignited a larger web of resistance against tyranny woven across the galaxy. Part 9, Anoria 3, A Beacon of Hope. The story of the colony of Anoria 3 endured beyond the perimeter of its conflict, echoing through the universe within a collective consciousness keen on reflection and love. It became a testament to what resilience can be forged through understanding, united not by the need for power, but by the desire to uplift, protect, and embrace the light within one another. The strength incredibly earnest, for while the sights of annihilation had once haunted every corner of their homes, the awaited dawn did arrive, glistening upon the hearts of every being now intertwined. In sectors of the galaxy heralding signs of unity, whispers traveled through voids, bridging borders long forged by separation. The Last Asylum became something far beyond a refuge. It became a rallying call, a mesmerizing testament that neither the expansive nature of space nor the ferocity of an empire could extinguish the power of the shared fire ignited within by unity, compassion, and unwavering empathy. Anoria 3 stood still as shadows whispered tales of hope, as a colony of humans embraced the intricate dances of neighboring beings beneath the twilight, proving that true strength transcends military might and resides in the unity uplifted by the bonds of kinship.